SD Works on the defensive. Did they make a mistake today in slippery conditions? Crashes, insane crash saves. This was the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift Stage 2. Now, Kopecky cleaned up yesterday. We've got a harder course today, like more of a medium mountain course with a 3.5k, 6% climb to finish and a little kicker at the end. Vibes were good, bucket hats were on, but would SD Works go for Kopecky again? They do have their GC leader who won the Ardennes Triple this year, or could Kopecky keep yellow? It'd be interesting to see what they would do, but a breakaway went up the road with Williams and Ludwig. They were allowed some leash with Trek and DSM controlling. SD Works haven't really had to control like the early parts of the race from what I've seen when TV coverage started, but the weather was a bit meh. 17 degrees. Would Vibers be able to survive? Most likely not, and Voss after yesterday probably not either, but Canyon SRAM and FDJ once again were quite aggressive in this stage when it got to the medium mountains later. But yeah, there were crashes. You can see the roads were slick. Hasn't been raining too much and it's midsummer, so a little bit of oil or whatever left on the ground you can go down easily. And here's the first of the Category 2 climbs, and Canyon SRAM, they attack first with one of their Polish riders, but it's not Niewiadoma actually. It's Skalniak Sojka. She's very good. She won a lot of races before she moved up to World Tour level with Canyon SRAM. Music marked her, and then I think Julie de Wilde went. Phoenix de Koenig really wanted the QOM jersey today, but I think SD Works were very active being marking with Reusser and trying to mark moves. And, 50Ks from the finish, they weren't initiating moves. I get you got to mark Labou, but with teammates already dropped, with 7-woman teams, you got to let some moves go. And it did chill out eventually when Van der Velde went up the road. And it looked like they were going for Kopecky because otherwise, they would have used this phase to attack or join these moves properly with Kopecky or Reusser. But Music attacks again, I think, and Ludwig gets out of the saddle, and the Israel rider on her wheel, she loses her front wheel and careens into Longo Borghini, who crashes, and that causes a cannon effect. Van Vleuten goes down. Kopecky sees her. Bredevold saw her. Vollering saw her. Remember P-Gate in La Vuelta? Is it time for payback? Start pacing full gas with Van Vleuten having crashed. The drama would have been insane, but they did not. SD Works kind of still sat in the wheels on this climb. But yeah, not ideal for Van Vleuten or Movistar, who I think Lippert crashed like 3 times today, sometimes in neutral, having to work her way back in, crashing just before the last hour of frenetic racing. But Kastelein and Costa, particularly Kastelein, were desperate to get in some sort of move. Van Aert joined them as well, bridging across. But Kastelein, she took the most QOM points today. She went into the polka dot jersey. But here you see, SD Works just trying to mark counter moves. So they're being defensive and marking non-GC threats for a reason. They want the stage. And here's that little climb. There were bonus seconds in play, but the break took it. Labou jumps again. So good on DSM, Canyon SRAM, UAE. They're all joining it. And here I thought, ooh, got Kopecky and Reusser joining that move. But she's with Longo Borghini and Niewiadoma, who are sort of the second-tier GC contenders in this race. And so there's a split behind them, and Vollering decides to close it with Van Vleuten in the wheels behind her. So could she have let this play out a little bit ahead of her? Can she, afford to give ELB and Niewiadoma time? Probably, to be honest, based on the Tourmalet stage. But she closed that. And maybe, they just had a pre-agreed a plan to go for the sprint in the stage. It starts raining heavily, though. Not what you want before this treacherous roundabout. Kastelein, the CX rider, just keeps it up. There's crashes in the bunch behind, with Mackay trying to keep Lippert and Van Vleuten in front position. And then there's the descent proper. And Lippert, now she won Cadel Evans road race in January, back like 3.5 years ago. And Australian weather's not always good in January. It was torrential then, and today she was cooking on that descent and in the wet conditions. She goes clear after Niewiadoma launched, and we've got a situation for SD Works to resolve. Moolman, Niewiadoma, ELB bridging, and Lippert, no SD Works represented. Kopecky, Vibers is gone, but Kopecky and Reusser entered that climb straight off the descent in bad position, and this is the pink jersey of Vollering having to close it herself. So whilst they looked dominant yesterday, a little bit of pressure from the other GC leaders definitely had Vollering, or she definitely was in bad position compared to Lippert, and Van Vleuten got to come back in the wheels. But no harm, no foul. Reusser comes back with Kopecky. Are we going to see an attack again from a Kopecky like yesterday, or an attack from Reusser over the top to force the other isolated riders to close it? Like Mavi Garcia, who lost, 8 seconds today, but we didn't. Everyone's sitting, 5 wide. It chills out again. Vollering goes to the front. very cagey. AVV's right there looking at her. And then we get to tell they must be going for a sprint because there's an attack from Kerbal, I think, and Royce marks her. A non-GC threat from Phoenix Dakota goes and Vollering marks her. In reality, you just let Royce play this out, but she marks that. So clearly they were shutting it down, not for the Vollering sprint, because then you'd have Kopecky on the front in this situation, marking proceedings when AVV's pacing, but then Royce throws in a huge dig. And so ELB, were it not for her immediately snapping across to Royce, this could have been the one. Royce obviously did have the option to go for the stage today, like Kopecky did yesterday. You see Vollering on the radio just behind, but she's bringing across GC contenders ELB and Niewiadoma with her. Vollering has to shut it down, and now she's looking for Kopecky, and the lead-out begins with Lippert trying to always find Kopecky's wheel. And through this roundabout, Lippert just takes a magic line, carries so much speed, and we have a split, in fact, with Royce letting the gap open whilst Vollering nukes the lead-out. Vollering could have won this stage herself, in my opinion, given how good her uphill sprint is after a hard day. And there's someone else that's got a sprint like that on a perfect parkour like this. We've seen this in other big races like Amstel, but it levels off later. But today it finished uphill. Lippert beating Kopecky in the Maillot Jaune with a huge sprint coming from deep, not great draft, long uphill, nasty sprint, and she wins her second World Tour race and the biggest one of her career. And no bonus seconds for Vollering, so job done for Movistar. SD Worx didn't get really anything out of the stage. Of course, Kopecky keeps her yellow jersey, but happiness for Movistar after what I think started as a pretty stressful day for them. Winning ahead of Kopecky. Good to see Persico back in good form, third. Moolman, then Schweinberger, Ludwig, Vollering, Niewiadoma, Van Vleuten, and Dronova rounding out the top 10. Here's what Lippert had to say after the stage.
What was the tactic during the sprint when Lotto Kopecky, the yellow jersey, launched the sprint? Did you think you were going to win?
No, I didn't think that I'm going to win. Actually, I just focused on Lotte the whole final, and I stay really calm. And then at once I thought I open now because, my quality is more on the uphill, the longer, harder sprint. So yes, but I didn't believe it even when I crossed the line. I thought maybe there's a breakaway gone or something, but it still needs some time to realize.
Whatever happens now, the Tour de France is a success for you?
Oh, definitely, for sure. I've been waiting so long for a win, and to win at the Tour de France is, I think I couldn't wish for more.
Thank you very much, Ilona. Congrats.
Thank you.
But as I said, Kopecky's still in the leader's jersey. No huge gaps between the top 5 GC favourites. We'll see tomorrow if there could be splits. Will SD Worx try and play the Kopecky-Royce numbers up the road to put Movistar and Van Vleuten under pressure? I hope so, and I'll see you with a recap of Stage 3 tomorrow. Ciao.